Joining us now to discuss New Jersey Democratic Senator Andy Kim. Senator, good to see you. So going into this meeting, the Republican plan seemed to be trying to strong-arm Democrats into backing down. Sources tell CNN that your leadership plans to continue to insist that they get some concessions. But right now, Republicans are already threatening to fire federal workers. Any, ones that are deemed non-essential will not come back ever. I mean, how far are Democrats willing to take this?
Well, look, this federal government, the executive branch, the Trump administration is already firing hundreds of thousands of federal workers. Their budget bill that they're trying to ram through in a partisan way, it would also threaten the jobs of hundreds of thousands of federal workers. So this is just business as usual for them. And that's exactly the problem, is that they are not actually trying to address the needs of the American people. I'm about 15 steps right now from the door of the House chamber. It's completely empty here in the House of Representatives because Speaker Johnson sent them home, told them to take a vacation. So when we're talking about them trying to fire federal workers, the House Republicans don't even bother showing up to work. This is what we see, and I hope the American people see that. We're 30 hours away from a shutdown, and the House Republicans, the congressional Republicans, can't even bother to show up to do their jobs.
So Democratic leader Schumer didn't say if Republicans committing to negotiate on extending these Obamacare subsidies separately would be good enough for him to sign and vote for the House-passed version of the funding bill. Leader Jeffries said, however, in no uncertain terms, that it would not be good enough for him. Take a listen.
Enough with the games that Republicans have been playing connected to the health care of the American people. And no one can trust their word on health care. Are you kidding me?
There's a shutdown on the line here. There are federal jobs on the line here. Do you think Leader Schumer should agree that negotiating on these Obamacare subsidies, once government funding is passed, is good enough?
In about 30 hours, millions of Americans are going to realize that their health care bills are skyrocketing. I mean, New Jersey, we're talking about upwards of 75,000 Americans could very well lose their health care. I mean, this is a crisis. And this is why we have to take it on now, not wait till Thanksgiving to try to take it on. So yes, the American people are demanding that we take this step seriously. The challenge is Jake, you just had Speaker Johnson on your show yesterday. He talked about how they're trying to negotiate in good faith. That is absolutely deceptive to the American. It's a flat out lie to them. Right now, I mean, we see the Trump administration moving forward with a $5 billion rescission package, trying to cut funding that Congress has already approved. Speaker Johnson is doing nothing with it. How can we trust him? How can we trust President Trump on a deal? So yes, we need to have assurances that what we agree to is actually going to follow through. But how do you make a deal with someone when they're not even telling you if they're going to live up to their end of it?
Before you go, a few days ago, Asada Shakur died in Cuba. She was a fugitive with a $2 million FBI reward on her head, convicted for her role in a shootout in 1973 that killed a New Jersey state trooper. But as CNN's Patrick Ottman writes, quote, for some in Black America, she was revolutionary royalty, the godmother and step-aunt of rapper Tupac Shakur. She herself became a symbol of resistance to law enforcement abuses during an era when the FBI committed widespread illegal surveillance of leftist groups, unquote. How do you view the legacy of Asada Shakur as a lawmaker today in New Jersey?
Yeah, representing my home state. I mean, look, she is someone who was convicted for murdering a New Jersey state trooper. I mean, I think that says it all in terms of just the concerns that people in my state have with honoring and raising up her legacy in that way, especially at a time when you were just having this conversation earlier about violence, and in fact talking to someone from New Jersey who saw their own family targeted by violence in Judge Esther Salas. We have to stand up against these types of violence and be able to stand up for each other. And that's what we hope to be able to push for.
Democratic Senator Andy Kim from New Jersey, the Garden State. Thank you, sir. Good to see you as always.